Hi, Lord of Life. I've got a Lifelines article coming out this weekend of June 18th discussing the new directions we're going to be taking in staffing over the coming years. But I want to say first and foremost, thank you for helping me do such a really tremendous farewell for Pastor Darcy. I know that she's been very warmed and heartened by the experience of this community, both on the one hand our sadness at losing her, and on the other hand the ways that we have, I think, been generous of spirit and big of perspective to realize that the kingdom is going to be better for her service, and that she's going to do powerful and good work just down the road in Haymarket. So thank you for being a part of that conversation and for helping me bless her forward. I think she's felt that, and the whole Percy family has felt uplifted by us, prayed for by us, supported by us, and encouraged by us. And it really does take a community to pull that off, especially in times of transition. So my deep appreciation. But I thought it might be good to do a video blog like this in addition to the article I'm sending out, just to kind of talk about what's going on. Staffing issues, I think you're all very aware that we're a very large, complex organization in terms of the size of churches in our denomination. We're in the top 2% in terms of size, and we're one of a handful of multi-sites. So staffing is obviously it's a critical issue even in a single site organization, smaller organization, but it's definitely an issue for us too. So some things have been coalescing all at once. A couple of months ago, first and foremost, Pastor Darcy early on made me aware of her discernment process and invited me in a conversation. And so that gave me some chance to think about and prepare for these kind of conversations, to take stock of the assets that we have in the congregation and the possibilities that are before us just with our own team. And then also to look around and see maybe what's available in the church. I mean, you don't know this, but I'm keenly aware of it. When I augur with my peers in the large church network, it seems like a high percentage of us are all looking for associate or team pastors right now. And that's not surprising. I think that there are close to 1,000 empty pulpits in our denomination of 10,000 congregations, so 1 in 10 pulpits at least is empty right now, and so that's a lot. And so we're not just looking for a pastor; we're looking for an associate pastor for a very large church ministry. So we're looking for a certain kind of skill set and a certain kind of ability. These things aren't easy to come by. So this is running around in my head. And so a couple months ago, I had a sit-down conversation with Pastor Mike Maguire over lunch, and before I got a word in edgewise, he said, I hope you're going to ask me to do more. Certainly Pastor Mike and Pastor Bruce have been great. We've been anticipating Pastor Darcy's sabbatical this summer anyway, and so made plans for her absence over the next 3 months regardless. So we were loaded for that. And just to back up for a second, you may not know this, but Pastor Bruce does the lion's share of our pastoral care right now. He does the visitation ministries, and he's building a care team ministry that's helping our lay people get involved in the caring ministries of our congregation as well. And so he kind of keeps that stuff on point and focused for us, and helps us not lose people in the cracks where pastoral care and concern is involved. And so I'm very, very grateful for him. And he already does quite a bit of time. Pastor Mike has been more retirement mode and has been more dialed back. But when I sat down at lunch with him, he was very, very clear. I really love working here. I love working on this team. And he said to me he's found a second ministry wind. And so, when a pastor shows up who has 25 years experience as the lead pastor in one of the largest congregations in our synod, he was at King of Kings Lutheran Church before he retired and stepped away, you'd be a fool not to pay attention to that. So at the same time, the Synod office called us about 2.5 months ago, and asked us to consider an internship. They have a Princeton graduate named Julia Boudre, who's kind of the Synod's best and brightest. She's, they believe, a really phenomenal leader, has great potential, and they don't want to lose her from the Synod. They want to keep our talent around, as it were. And Layla Ortiz in particular, the assistant to the bishop, Pastor Layla in the Synod office, knew of our needs for staffing and wondered if an internship with a high quality person might be a part of the picture we could put together for staffing needs, at least in the near term. And so that and Pastor Mike's willingness to do more, I think we've got a plan emerging for how we're going to cover the pastoral needs of this place, preaching, teaching, some oversight ministries, and be able to do the kind of ministries that are before us. So Pastor Mike is for the next 2 years, starting in July. He's already got the title of our pastor for worship and preaching, which is great, but all of the worship pieces that are currently under me will fall under him. So all the direct reports and the global oversight for worship is all going to fall under him, which will be great. And that'll allow all of the discipleship people that have been under Pastor Darcy to come under me for a time while we grow and develop some people and get a better window into what's going on in that area. So we're going to shift ministries around like that. Alicia Schwenk, our Director for Children and Family Ministries, is going to take on Connection small groups and be the staff point person for all of that, and to free up some space in her time schedule, we'll bring on a very, very part-time person to oversee a journey here at the Fairfax campus in the fall. I think we'll call her kind of what we call Tracy Maguire at the Clifton campus. We'll call her our Assistant Director for Children and Family Ministries, Fairfax. This person, it could be a guy, whatever the case may be. But so that's how we're going to shift some of these pieces around. Julia Boudre will start with us, a pastoral intern. She's going to give us 2 years of her life. I certainly like Julia an awful lot and like what I see, and the people on the team that have met her so far agree with me that we're going to be well served by having her in mission with us as well. And I hope that as you get to know Julia Boudre as well, that you come to the same conclusion. But anyway, all of these pieces together and the shifting of things around, I think we're going to be able to amply cover the needs of the church and continue to grow us in vitality for mission. So I'm excited about the staffing picture for the future. It's a little avant-garde, but I think it takes good use. It uses the assets that God has already placed around us in a really, really good way. You as a congregation continue to respond incredibly well to Pastor Mike and his leadership and his preaching and his worship leadership. And I get that feedback on almost a weekly basis from members of the congregation. So I'm excited about having him as a more fully engaged team member like we've had Pastor Bruce here for a number of years. And I think that it will serve the mission of this church in the near term in particular incredibly well. It's not a new thing for us at Lord of Life. We have a history, obviously, of retired pastors coming, joining us on staff, and bringing us great ministry. Certainly, y'all know Bishop Jansen, I think, are aware of his ministry here and the ways that he continued to serve even past his retirement as bishop, and certainly Pastor Lowell Knopf. So I'm very, very grateful for the ways that this congregation has continued to use the really, really great gifts of pastors that we would otherwise label as retired, but who have, for whatever reason, found a second wind, fallen in love with us as a congregation, and wanted to serve to greater purpose. So we're going to leverage the gifts we have right now, bring on some people. I know I'm going to get the question, will she be our next associate pastor? And that is certainly a possibility. Inherent in this kind of relationship is the opportunity to fill each other out and see if this is a good relationship, and she can assess us and decide if we're an environment that she wants to commit more of her life to on the one hand, and we have the privilege of deciding is having her on our team something that helps us move our ball forward and in terms of the long-term picture of the mission that we're being called to. So we get to assess all that stuff over time in a kind of a low-pressure environment, and I think in the long term it'll be good for us as a church. So even if we decide between Julia and us as a team and us as a congregation that after 2 years we need to part ways, I'm confident that we'll leave each other better for the interaction. And it also buys me some time to pay attention to the leadership talent in the church and cultivate and develop some relationships with people so that we can keep our leadership pipeline filled for the foreseeable future. Anyway, that's kind of a snapshot, me rambling on the things that are going on around here. I'll try to video edit this down to something that's a little bit shorter and more succinct. But thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and we'll see you around the church. God loves you, and I do too. Proud of you all, and really, really glad to be here serving in mission with you. Talk to you soon. Bye.